Good morning, dear students. This is Vishal sir from Ikra High School. Today, we are going to study Chapter 14, Sources of Energy from Standard 10th NCERT syllabus. Let's continue reading the chapter first. In class 9, we learned that the total energy during a physical or chemical process is conserved. Why then do we hear so much about the energy crisis? If energy can neither be created nor destroyed, we should have no worries. We should be able to perform endless activity without thinking about energy resources. In this paragraph, students, we revise the law of conservation of energy, which stated that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It may change in the form, but the total amount of energy remains the same. So, why do we always say about it that the energy that we are using is depleting? When it cannot be created or cannot be destroyed, it remains constant. This riddle can be solved if we recall what else we learned about energy. Energy comes in different forms, and one form can be converted to another. For example, if we drop a plate from a height, the potential energy of the plate is converted mostly to the sound energy when it hits the ground. If we light a candle, the process is highly exothermic so that the chemical energy in the wax is converted to heat energy and light energy on burning. That means the energy crisis is due to the transformation of energy. When we utilize a energy, it is transformed into some another form, which is unutilized by us. If we drop a plate from a height, the potential energy of the plate is converted mostly to sound energy when it hits the ground. So that is the transformation of energy. The amount of energy is constant, but its transformation changes the energy into different forms. So that brings us to the conclusion. We will see that energy in the usable form is dissipated to the surrounding in the less usable forms. Hence, any source of energy we use to do work is consumed and cannot be used again. Now let's study what type of energy is called the good source of energy. As you can see on your screen, a good source of energy would be the one which would do a large amount of work per unit volume or mass. That means you need less fuel and that fuel gives enough amount of energy to do our work. Here we can take the example of wood versus petrol or methane gas. In this example, you can see lot of wood is burned to get small amount of heat, while small amount of methane or petroleum is utilized to get large amount of heat. The good source of energy would be methane or petrol. It cannot be wood. It should be easily accessible. That means it should be easily available. It should be easy to store and transport and should be economical. So these four characteristics signifies the good source of energy. So we are left with another question that a good source of energy should be obtained from a good fuel. Now what is the characteristic of a good fuel? The main characteristics of a good fuel are it is readily available. That means you don't have to work hard or you have to utilize more amount of energy to obtain it. It should be cheap. That means should be available to everybody. It is easy to store and transport, burns at a moderate rate. That means it should not burn highly or at very low rate, but at a moderate rate. That should be in a controllable manner. It should produce a large amount of heat, does not leave behind any undesirable substance. That means no pollutant should be there when you burn a good fuel, and it should not cause pollution. That means it should not damage the environment. Now, let's distribute the energy in two parts: the conventional source of energy and the alternative sources of energy. Conventional sources of energy means the energy that was utilized from the very past. As you can see over here, in the first statement they have given, in ancient time, wood was the most common source of heat energy. The energy of flowing water and wind has also used for limited activities. The exploitation of coal as a source of energy made the industrial revolution possible. What you see in the past years that we have developed in a very fast pace, that is due to the industrial revolution around us. This industrial revolution is only possible due to the utilization of fossil fuels. Now what are fossil fuels? The fossil fuels are the fuels obtained from coal, petroleum and natural gas. These coal, petroleum and natural gas are known as fossil fuels. Increasing industrialization has led to a better quality of life all over the world. It has also caused the global demand for energy to grow at a tremendous rate. So after wood, the main source of energy or the main utilization of energies were coal and petroleum. That led to the industrial revolution, which in turn gave the better quality of life to us. Our technologies were also developed for using these energy source, but these fuels were formed over millions of years ago and they are only limited reserves. So we have developed a lot due to these sources of energy, but these fuels does not form in a very short span of time. It takes millions of years to form these fossil fuels. Also, they are in limited reserves. So you can say near about 20% of the reserves of coal and petroleum have now depleted. They are now emptied. The fossil fuel are non-renewable source of energy, so we need to conserve them. If we were to continue consuming this source at such alarming rate, we would soon run out of energy. In order to avoid this, alternative sources of energy were explored. But we continue to be largely dependent on fossil fuel up to now also. Burning fossil fuels has other disadvantage too. It causes air pollution. The oxides of carbon, nitrogen and sulfur that are released by burning fossil fuel are acidic oxide. That means when they dissolve with water, they become acidic oxide. This leads to acid rain, which affects our water and soil resources. Also, in addition to the problem of air pollution, there is the greenhouse effect of gases like carbon dioxide has increased at a very large rate. The pollution caused by burning fossil fuels can be somewhat reduced by increasing the efficiency of the combustion process. That means if we improve the combustion process of this fossil fuel, we can slightly reduce the amount of pollutants in the environment by using various techniques to reduce the escape of harmful gases and ashes into the surrounding. Besides being used directly for various purposes in gas turbine vehicle, do you know fossil fuels are the major fuel used for generating electricity? Yes, absolutely. Thermal power station uses coal for burning and boiling water to get steam, and that steam generates electricity. Also, in some thermal power station, they utilize diesel oil, natural gas. Here you can see a diagram which shows how electricity is generated in major power stations. A small experiment is given over here where you are utilizing cooker. The steam produced by the cooker is exerted on a tennis ball having flaps like structure, which is connected with a dynamo. Dynamo is actually a small generator. So this shows an experimental way of describing how electricity is generated. So to heat this water, we need to utilize the heat energy available in our home, that is the natural gas available in our home. This is our turbine for generating electricity. The simplest turbine having one moving part, a rotor blade assembly. The moving fluid act on the blade to spin them and impart energy on the rotor. Thus, we see that basically we need to move the fan, the rotor blade with speed, which would turn the shaft of the dynamo and convert the mechanical energy into electrical energy. So here also you can see the conversion of energy is stated. The mechanical energy of the dynamo is converted into electrical energy, and that electrical energy is utilized by us in various forms. We utilize electrical energy for generating wind energy in fan. We utilize electrical energy in generating light in bulbs and tube lights, and so on. The form of energy which has become a necessity in today's scenario. The various ways in which this can be done depends upon the availability of resource. So whatever resource is available to the nearest power station is utilized for generating electricity. Here you can see electricity is harnessed through thermal power plant. Large amount of fossil fuel are burned every day in power station to heat up water and produce steam. So simple way of producing electricity is to heat the water, which is converted into steam energy. That steam is forced on a turbine, the turbine which rotates, and it also rotates the generator connected to it, which produces electricity. The transmission of electricity is more efficient than transporting coal or petroleum over the same distance. So it is easy to transport electricity from one place to another rather than transporting coal or petroleum. For coal or petroleum, you need some vessel to fill it up and should be packed tightly, and then you have to transport them through railways or through some other roadways. But the transmission of electricity is easy through different aluminum wires, and that energy can be transported at very far places, at very remote areas also, where coal and petroleum could not be reached. Therefore, many thermal power plants are set up near coal or oil field. The term thermal power is used since fuel is burned to produce heat energy which is converted into electrical energy. Next topic is hydropower plant. That means the energy is generated through water. Another traditional source of energy was the kinetic energy of flowing water or the potential energy of water at a height. Hydropower plants convert potential energy of falling water into electricity. Since there are very few waterfalls which could be used as a source of potential energy, hydropower plants are associated with dam. In the last century, the large number of dams were built all over the world. As you can see from figure 14.1, a quarter of our energy requirement in India is met by hydropower plant. Here you can see the schematic view of the hydropower plant. The water is filled over here at some height which conserves the potential energy, and it is then flown through the height in certain way which moves the turbine that is connected with the generator, which in turns produces electricity. So this is the way how hydropower plant work. In order to produce hydel electricity, high-rise dams are constructed on the river to obstruct the flow of water and thereby collect the water in large reservoir. The water level rises, and in this process the kinetic energy of flowing water gets transformed into potential energy. The water from the high level in the dam is carried through pipes to the turbine at the bottom of the dam. Here they are talking about this thing. Since the water in the reservoir could be refilled each time it rains, so this is a renewable source of energy. The dam's water is renewed by rain. Hydropower is a renewable source of energy. We would not have to worry about hydroelectricity source getting used up by the way fossil fuel would get finished one day. That means you don't have to worry about hydropower plant because it gets renewed every year, not like the fossil fuels that we are using, which are definitely going to get depleted in the near future. If hydropower plant has its advantage, it also has its disadvantage. The construction of big dam have certain problems. The dams can be constructed only in a limited number of places, not everywhere. You have lots of rivers in India, but not every river has a dam. So it is preferable in hilly terrains. That means they prefer a place where water flows from between two mountains or the valley where the water can be collected or diverted for constructing the dam. After that, diversion is again moved to the area towards the dam. Large area of agricultural land and human habitation are to be sacrificed. The second limitation is that it affects the agricultural land and human habitation also, because they get submerged. As you fill up the water in that terrain, it accumulates the land nearby it. Also, large ecosystem are destroyed. So forest nearby the dam can be destroyed due to this structure of dam. The vegetation which is submerged rot under the anaerobic condition and give rise to large amount of methane, which is also a greenhouse gas. So that is also one of the limitation. The vegetation that is submerged in the water, it produces methane, which is also a greenhouse gas, and that greenhouse gas produces heat energy. It creates the problem of satisfactory rehabilitation of displaced people. Opposition to the construction of Tehri Dam on the river Ganga and Sardar Sarovar project on the river Narmada are due to such problems. Now, as the conventional source of energy and also its alternative sources were having a little disadvantage, we try to improve the conventional sources of energy through technology. Biomass means biotic mass, the mass obtained from biotic components of the environment. That means the waste material that we obtain from the living environment is utilized to generate energy. We mentioned earlier that wood has been used as fuel for a long time. We can ensure that enough trees are planted. A continuous supply of firewood can be assured. You must also be familiar with the use of cow dung cake as a fuel, given the large livestock population in India. This can also assure us a steady source of fuel. So in India, you must have observed in the villages, they utilize cow dung cake as fuel. Since these fuels are plant and animal product, the source of this fuel is said to be biomass. These fuels, however, do not produce much heat on burning, and a lot of smoke is given out when they are burned. So this is one of the limitation of the biomass, that if you directly burn the biomass, it does not produce much heat, but in turn it produces lot of smoke, which is harmful to the environment. Therefore, technological input to improve the efficiency of these fuels are necessary. When the wood is burned in a limited supply of oxygen, water and volatile material present in it get removed and charcoal is left behind. So if you do an experiment of burning wood in the absence of air, you will obtain charcoal, and that charcoal burns without flame, and also it is comparatively smokeless. Also, it generates higher heat efficiency. In the same manner, cow dung also, or the various waste materials obtained from biotic component, if they are burnt or they are decomposed in the absence of oxygen, it gives biogas, which is a healthier way of obtaining energy. Since the starting material is mainly cow dung, it is also known as gobar gas. Biogas is produced in a plant shown in the diagram. Here you can see the diagram, schematic diagram of biogas plant, where a pit is made and it is constructed in such a way that from this side the slurry means the waste material included with water is introduced into the pit, which is decomposed in the absence of air, and that generates gas. When it decomposes completely, it stops generating gas, and that waste material is then removed through this side and it is utilized in the farmland as manure and fertilizer. Here the main part is called digester, where all the material is decomposed in the absence of air. The plant has a dome-like structure built with bricks. Slurry of cow dung and water. Slurry means the mixture of cow dung and water is made in the mixing tank from where it is fed into the digester. Digester is a sealed chamber in which there is no oxygen. Anaerobic microorganisms that do not require oxygen decompose or break down complex compound of the cow dung slurry. It takes a few days for the decomposition process to be complete and generate gases like methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen and hydrogen sulfide. The biogas is stored in the tank above the digester from which they are drawn through pipes. So here the biogas is collected and that is given out through a gas outlet which is connected with the gas chula in your house. Biogas is an excellent fuel as it contains up to 75% methane. It burns without smoke, leaves no residue like ash in wood, charcoal and coal burning. So there is nothing left when you burn methane. It's simply carbon monoxide. Its heating capacity is high. Biogas is also used for lighting. The slurry left behind is removed periodically and used as an excellent manure rich in nitrogen and phosphorus. So these are the advantages of biogas. The large scale of utilization of bio-waste and sewage material provide a safe and efficient method to waste disposal besides supplying energy and manure. So this is also a renewable source of energy. We can count on it as, let's see, main thing that gets in the biogas is cow dung and the waste material from plants and animals. Now when that is introduced in this, it gets decomposed, and after decomposition it is used as manure which is utilized in farmland. The farmlands again generates the same amount of plants or the fodder which is given to the animals. That animals again as waste material produce cow dung. So it is a renewable source of energy. Another alternative source of energy is wind energy. Though it was used from the very past, but it became important as the fossil fuels started depleting. Wind energy is, we saw in class 9th how unequal heating of the landmass and water bodies by solar radiation generates air movement and causes wind to blow. This kinetic energy of the wind can be used to do work. This energy is harnessed by windmill in the past to do mechanical work. For example, in a water lifting pump, rotary motion of windmill is utilized to lift water from the well. So we know about how wind is produced in environment. It is the process of unequal heating of landmass and water bodies which generates wind, and now this wind is utilized as a kinetic energy to do work. Usually windmills were introduced in the very past, but they were just used for water lifting pump or used as grinding mills for producing flour from wheat and other grains. But today windmill is also used to generate electricity, though it has a limitation, but still we can utilize wind energy to generate electricity. A windmill essentially consists of a structure similar to a large electric fan that is erected at some height on a rigid support. To generate electricity, the rotary motion of the windmill is used to turn the turbine of the electric generator. The output of the single windmill is quite small and cannot be used for commercial purpose. Therefore, a large number of windmills are erected over a large area, which is known as the wind energy farm. The energy produced of each windmill in a farm is coupled together to get electricity on commercial scale. One windmill cannot generate enough amount of energy. We need many windmills to generate enough amount of energy for a small village, and that place that is occupied to install so many windmills are considered as wind farms. In this section you can see Denmark is called the country of winds. So it is a good source of energy, free source of energy and a renewable source of energy. But still it has limitations. What type of limitations? Wind energy is an environment friendly and efficient source of renewable energy. It requires no recurring expense for the production of electricity. Absolutely correct. It does not require anything to produce electricity after it is installed. But first thing, wind energy farms can be established only at those places where wind blows for the greater part of the year. This is the first limitation of a windmill. We need a place where you can find the maximum amount of wind blowing throughout the year. Also, the wind should blow at a rate of 15 km per hour, so that it can produce enough amount of energy. Furthermore, there should be some backup facilities. So it will not keep up always rotating and generating electricity. So that energy which it generates should be stored in some equipment. Example, storage cells, the batteries. Establishment of wind energy farm require large area of land. For 1 megawatt generator, a farm needs about 2 hectares of land. That is another limitation, that it needs large amount of land, because only then you can generate enough amount of energy. For only 1 megawatt of energy, we need at least 2 hectares of land. Initial cost of establishment of the farm is quite high. This is the third limitation. So installing is the most expensive part of windmill. Moreover, since the tower and the blade are exposed to vagaries of nature like rain, sun, storm and cyclone, they need a high level of maintenance. So no maintenance is there in the windmill, but the rotary thing that happens in the windmill needs more care. They needs to be oiled and greased and cleaned at different stages. Thank you, children.